myself.
I almost just distracted us because I was going to say, hey, when you read POV, do you ever think to yourself,
Yes, I do.
Penis o vagina?
No, I don't.
Welcome to Recapping Romantasy, hot takes on hot literature. Who are we?
We are me, Emma.
I am Maura.
And I am Tabitha. Recapping Romantasy contains mature content from fairy smut to dragon rider torture to monster genitalia. Be sure to check the episode notes for content warnings and links to our social media.
All right, well, we are back with another SJM, another part of the ACOTAR series. We'll be talking about A Court of War and Ruin and...
Springs.
Oh, no, is it? I've been calling it...
I'm not cutting that out.
Oh, you're right. To be honest, everyone, I just call it ACOWAR, and whenever people are like, which one? I just make up whatever goes in the W and the R.
This is the
I know it ends in ruin, but that's it.
This is the third book in the Court of Thorns and Roses series.
Yeah.
It's all wings and ruin and roses and wings and
Yeah. It's all a blank of blank and blank, and
Yes.
I'm sick of it. Mm-hmm. I know she started it, so like she gets, her flowers or whatever, but every other book out there, just do anything else.
It's
I can't
very
even...
hard to remember the names of episodes on the show.
Yeah. And we got part 1, we got part 2. We have, what was it? Fall of Ruin and Wrath?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That she doesn't write that one, but it's almost the same.
They all tend to follow the same pattern, and
It's
that's
just
publishing for you.
I was going to say, it's just the thing of the moment.
Yeah.
Everybody likes to make fun of these titles, and not just these in particular, but all fantasy titles generally. They're like this and that and this, and I'm like, I know. If only we could fix publishing.
Yeah.
And yet they continue.
You know what? This isn't like a law. You don't have to do it like this.
Yeah. I mean, I get that it's like for recognition and, I thought I was going in for a Court of Wings and Ruin. I had to check.
It's like, what is this thing called again?
But, there's a book right next to it that's Fall of Wrath and Ruin. Those are almost the same. I can't remember. I'll pick that one.
Plus ACOWAR. It's just war.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to talk about it today. It's going to be broken into 2 parts because this book is long, everybody, and I have thoughts and feelings about it. And you're gonna hear them. All right. So we start ACOWAR with a quick chapter in Rhysand's point of view. It's 2 years before the Wall. So that's like, however many years before ACOTAR actually takes place.
1,000?
I feel like he's only 500.
Yeah, I think it's 500-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
530 since he's supposed to be like 30 years old or whatever.
Sure.
He's a baby.
Yeah, he's an infant. So we start a chapter from Rhys's point of view after the battle. It's, again, 2 years before the wall was constructed. Rhys is walking through the dead bodies that cover the battlefield to see if any of them are Cassian. And to me, it seems like this chapter is mostly just to make us understand the trauma and pain that Rhys has been through, because this is really a theme through all of the books. Everyone has trauma and pain, which, #life.
Yeah, join the club, Sarah.
This book is separated into 3 parts, and I have feelings about that always. So we start with part 1, Princess of Carrion. So Persephone, Feyre, is back at the Spring Court after being saved, in heavy quotes, by Tamlin from Rhys. But really, she's there on a mission for sweet, sweet revenge. She is now secretly the High Lady of the Night Court and a master of deception, magic, and painting after only being at the Night Court for like a few months.
Finally, after all this time, she gets her act together.
I can never tell if this was planned beforehand by Rhys and Feyre, or if Feyre is just really good at improv.
Yeah, she makes it sound like in this book that they actually planned everything like the night before that weird heist in Akamath took place.
Yeah.
But it also just reads to me like they just made this up as they were going along.
Right, yeah. It does feel a little unplanned, but at the same time planned, which is, I'm like, how good is she at this?
Yeah, well, she's amazing, as we'll find out. So while Feyre's painting, Tamlin and Lucien remind her of the upcoming meeting with Jurian. And if you don't remember, Jurian's the human who was trapped in Amarantha's ring for like 500 years. And another reminder, he was revived by King Hybern and then joined that team
Inexplicably.
Yeah. So Ianthe, is that how you say her name? Ianthe?
Ianthe.
Okay. Oof. Ianthe, the sexually harassing high priestess from the Spring Court, will also be joining them to explain why she betrayed them all to Hybern. Although Tamlin is convinced that Feyre still loves him, Lucien isn't fooled. During the heist for the cauldron, he found out that Feyre's sister Elaine is his mate, so he keeps trying to find out where she is, but Feyre pretends not to know as a part of her act.
I'm sorry, but just fucking figure it out, Lucien. Like, you won't defend Feyre because of your loyalty to Tamlin, but you won't tell Tamlin your suspicions about Feyre. Like, does he think that Tamlin is unreasonable, but he just wants to, like, coast on by and not worry about it? Like, it'll all work out.
I think that's been his MO from the beginning.
Yeah.
To be honest, he's always very like, we are going to toe the line, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, status quo.
Yeah. I feel like I think I talked about this before in a previous episode. But he's like got this like weird, I don't want to say like dom and sub, but like he's got like a weird relationship with Tamlin. Because Tamlin, like, saved him.
Yeah, Tamlin saved him from his family, but now Tamlin bullies him.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, the power dynamic, that's what I was trying to get at,
Yes.
is, like, off. Ianthe gives the weakest apology. She says, I only did this to you so you and your sisters could be together forever. And Feyre doesn't buy it. But she plays her part well and is like, oh, thanks, that was so nice. Bullshit. Lucien shows more anger than Feyre does, and Tamlin's like, hey guys, can we just all be friends? Like some weak ass little bitch. Feyre explains some shit to the reader while waiting for Jurian and these two evil henchmen. So the things she explains are, number one, the henchmen, are on their way to test the invisible magical wall between the humans and the Fae for weak spots because the cauldron is still regaining its power because all of its power was used up turning Feyre's sisters into fairies. 2, the mating bond between Feyre and Rhys wasn't actually severed as we thought in the last book. It's still like there, but it's secretly there, and she can only use it sparingly to ask him about her sisters. And 3, she lets everyone believe that she was forced to be with Rhys since she still smells like him, because that's like a sign that the mating bond is still there.
I still do not understand the whole mate and smell things. Like, are they werewolves? Why is this something why is there just an assumption that, like, yeah, the smell and the mating for these fairies?
I don't know.
Yeah, you know, the book rides a really weird line where the Fae are both highly animalistic in nature and the males are very ruled by these base desires and abilities, but also somehow better than humans, i.e. they have holidays and culture and are stronger, and oh, by the way, they're all super rich.
Yeah.
But, like, what is the mechanism by which they have a smell from being mated? Like, do they have scent glands in their body?
Unknown. Also, where are they getting all this wealth? I would like to know that too.
Yeah.
There's no economy as far as I can tell.
I don't know. Yeah, tithing.
And then I think they must have taxes in Valaris.
They must. Yeah, I don't know. I saw someone on TikTok explain that, like, the mate bonds in the ACOTAR series and maybe the rest of the series, whatever, and like any fairy series are basically just like the gateway drug to a megaverse.
I can see that.
Yeah,
because they're like,
I said, what are they, werewolves or what?
Almost, but not really. Okay, and the fourth thing that Feyre tells the reader is she's going to convince everyone in this palace that she still loves Tamlin, which, okay. So then Jurian arrives with his two commanders. They are fraternal twins, Prince Dagden and Prince Branna. Okay. Side note, they want to stay in the same room, these fraternal twins, and like,
yeah, they fucking.
Yeah, it's so weird and like low-key incestuous. Like, I don't know.
Like I said, they fucking.
Yeah. It's gross. Like at one point, Feyre explains that Prince Dagden does everything for Prince Branna. Like he plates her food and takes a drink and chews it up, like, and spits it in her mouth. Like
He baby birds her.
Yeah. I mean, he's actually testing it for like poison, but why does he not care? Anyways.
Yeah, why is he doing it? Don't they have servants for this?
Yeah, I don't know.
Why don't they have some random human to do it for them?
No.
Because it's a sex game that they're dragging everyone else into.
It's so gross. Anyways, and Jurian's there because he's looking for his Fae lover Mirian, who died in the war, or so he was told, because he doesn't actually believe it. So a lot of exposition going on in this plot. So everyone, did you have something to say?
No, I was gonna say this excuse for a plot.
Oh. Yeah, it's a long book. Everyone but Tamlin is at the wall to survey the gap that they'll use to break it down. There's like 3 that they're going to check. So Lucien can see that Feyre is scheming, and he tells her to cut it out, Missy. They exchange some words and explain that they explain why they're siding with Hybern. Basically, Tammy was depressed and angry that Feyre left, so they made a deal with Hybern to get her back. But the exchange for her at the end of the last book didn't go as they were told it was going to go down.
This does kind of feel like a classic "I'll burn the world for you" trope that ends at its natural conclusion. So props to Sarah for that, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. This is just like my fiance left me, so I moved in with El Chapo.
Yeah,
I mean, like, just because you were upset doesn't make this okay.
No. I mean, yeah, very true. So Ianthe's also there, and she tells them that they're going to have a party for their visitors. Lucien and Feyre chat about Calanmai, which is, if you remember, the like spring festival that they have. And
sorry to interrupt, but every time you hear the word calamine, do you also think of calamari?
Yeah, I do,
Okay.
actually.
I think of like calamine lotion.
Yeah.
Which is a really weird thing to think about, but that is where my brain goes.
So, anyways, Feyre and Lucien chat about calamari, and he tells her that Tamlin refused to participate, so Lucien had to have sex with Ianthe for the ritual, which so many things wrong with that. She tells him that she won't tell Elaine, and he says that she is a much better friend to him. But, like, is she really? Like, she's lying to all of them right now.
Yeah, but do they not deserve it? Like, he's not aware of her lying yet, totally.
That's true.
So right now he's looking at a woman he thinks actually does respect him as a person, despite the fact that she shouldn't. Because let us all be reminded that he was totally in on the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, let's totally do this, Tamlin.
Yeah.
We're gonna go ally with Hybern. It'll be great. Because whatever you say we should do, we should do.
I like have I know you hate Lucien, but
I
I
hate
have
him.
like a weird soft spot for him. Like he's like that like nerd kid who got in with the wrong crowd, and like everyone keeps like abusing him. I know that's absolutely not his character.
I'm over here
at
like,
all.
man up, Lucien.
I'm like, it's okay, baby.
He's the kid who goes to juvie just because of what his friends were doing
yeah,
at the
that's what I
time.
mean.
Yes.
Yeah, his friends are actually the one who like broke into the locker and stole the drugs, but like he's standing there with the tools when they run off. You know. Okay. So the summer solstice is here, and Ianthe as priestess planned a lot of it. So Feyre and crew only have to like wake up at the ass crack of dawn to go to the church and like give thanks to the sun or some shit. But Feyre had like a teeny part in this planning, and she positions herself so that when the sun rises over the altar, she would be aglow with sunlight. And it was actually supposed to be Ianthe, so she stole her light, literally. Lucien bows to her when this happens, and then this causes everyone else in the audience to bow to her as well, and they're all convinced that she's been blessed by the cauldron.
What the fuck? It's the sun. It doesn't randomly do shit. You can calculate where it's going to be on a certain day. That's why everyone knows when, like,
I know.
Like, come on, Ianthe, high priestess better. Don't you have a calendar?
Well, technically, if I'm remembering this correctly, Ianthe had it set up so that she actually would be in the sun. Like, they did the calculations and everything, and there were like little rocks that they were supposed to stand on, and Feyre went and used her impressive magical powers and like secretly moved it over so she would be in the sun. Yeah. I'm like kind of annoyed by this because it like, as I will probably say later, Feyre just gets really good at everything like very fast. Like she was in the Night Court for like maybe 4 months collectively, maybe. And she's now like the most powerful being. Like, I don't know. Like I've said this in every episode that we've recorded about this series. I don't understand how this magic system works, and I don't understand, like, is it just innate and she just like has this skill somehow? Like there's no like Hogwarts that you're going to per se. She doesn't like learn anything.
No.
She like practiced fighting for like 3 scenes last book.
Yeah, first book, she's like, I don't know how to read. And like 2 books later, she's like playing 4D chess.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, but it was revealed that she kind of did know how to read.
Yeah, that's true.
So
I mean, that
like,
whole thing was, super stupid.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't read. And then she's like, well, I just really never tried.
You know how everyone says that Feyre is actually like not good at painting? I think there should be more memes about her being like functionally illiterate. Okay. So after this happens, and she's like blessed by the cauldron, that night she has a nightmare, and she basically uses it as a ruse to talk to Lucian. He's in the middle of the hallway giving her like an intimate yet comforting hug when Tampon sees them and then acts all alpha male. She leads him to her room and slams the door in his face. So she doesn't sleep with him, but he's annoyed because he thinks like another man is in crouching.
Yeah, like she does it intentionally. Like she goes in there and she kind of like gets Lucian to act like, come cuddle against me, so it looks like we're being intimate, and Tamlin will walk in and see me. So when I read this the first time around, I remember being like discomfited by Feyre's kind of change in personality. I mean, I knew how active she is, and I like that, and Tamlin deserves to get his ass kicked, so that's all good too.
Yeah.
But Feyre is such a femme fatale in these opening chapters, and I was like, did she develop this personality overnight? When did this happen? Like, was she in the night court for approximately a fortnight or something, right? And it's not like this was super planned. Like, maybe she got like a few hours lead time.
Yeah.
So it's like, I guess this is a thing, but I don't know. I just remember being really confused about how she developed like this all of a sudden.
This is the most I've ever liked her. She should have been like this all along.
I totally agree that I like this, like how she's acting. It was just like, she's not this way though. This is out of character.
Yeah, she's taking like the most control of the story, I feel, in this part. Maybe like since like Under the Mountain, she was like very, active, but it kind of had to be.
Sorry, not to cut you off, but the stuff Under the Mountain, like she was forced to do that.
Right,
this is like her taking the initiative to
Yes.
con someone, basically.
Yeah, but she's really like, again, pushing the plot and really the action like forward with all of her choices, like choosing to, as we've said. But the femme fatale part, this is kind of, we said, it kind of just feels like she's pulling it all out of her ass, but it's working so well.
Yeah.
When at the end of the last book, they were pulling things out of their ass in air quotes, but it all went so very wrong.
Yeah.
When they were doing kind of the same type of like heisty James Bond, Jane Bond, shit. So it feels weird. Weird note, but a set of estate keys goes missing. We'll need that for later. Feyre, Lucian, and Highburn Royals are off to the next hole in the wall, and they stop for the night. Feyre and Lucian have to share a tent. Nothing happens except them talking. Upsetting. Princess Branna insinuates that Feyre is sleeping with Lucian since they were sharing a tent, and she really should have been like, Uno reverse. But she then says that she knows that the Autumn Court knows how to fuck.
And again, it's like using Lucian as some sort of
Yeah.
way to get Tamlin to feel a little bit like something is wrong between her and Lucian, and it's like femme fatale Feyre. It just doesn't work for me.
Yeah, it's a little like, I don't know, jarring, definitely. So they finally reach this hole in the wall, and the children of the blessed are there. Those are like the weird human groupies for the Fae. The Highburn twins look like they want to eat them or fuck them. It's bizarre. And then Feyre tells the humans, like, please go away with her magic, and they do. Jurian is weirdly nice for a moment, and he thanks her for saving the humans. He and Feyre then have a little chat that night, and he talks about how different humans are now than when he lived with them 500 years ago. Like, duh, my guy.
Wasn't he human?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if he's technically not human, to be honest. I was like gonna Google it, and then I forgot.
Well,
that was something I would like quibbled with a lot, but there was never a definitive answer.
Yeah, he was a human, and then he was an eyeball.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then he's here again, but I don't know.
I think that's a good question, though. I don't know if it's actually specified what he is currently, other than here.
Yeah. Googleable question, I'm sure, but I don't want to Google it. So he's like, yeah, humans are different now. And Feyre's like, dude, aren't you like the evil fairy king's lapdog? Like, aren't you going to get killed for saying like that you're empathetic with them? And he's like, I'm just doing this for Miriam because she dumped me since I like put the humans before our love. I even fucked this other girl for info because, Miriam told me to. And then she left me for this other guy, and now I'm going to make her pay. Like, whoa. A lot to unpack there. And Feyre's like, whoa, dude. Appropriate response. You're doing this all to get back to her? And Druin's like, yeah, I know what you're doing here because I knew Rhys during the war, and he's a good guy, and he's smart, and he sent you here to fuck everyone up. And he's like, that's cool with me because Hybern's going to kill all of you.
This is the stupidest fucking reason to ally with the dude who's going to enslave your entire race. How anyone believes him is the mystery to me.
The next morning, they discover that the royal twins went and hunted down these humans and killed them.
I have so many questions about this too. Like, we know so little about Highburn. Like, the king doesn't even have a name. He's just called King of Highburn.
Yeah, I know.
But is everyone like this there? Like, are they all demonic serial killers? How do they even function or have an economy, much less a massive army, if they're all just like this way?
Well, you know what it is.
Yeah.
It's because they're Irish.
Those Irish.
You're missing that there's listeners. You're missing that there's a trend on TikTok with all these people talking about how Sarah J. Maas is like anti-Irish people because her map is like accidentally, probably on purpose, the UK, and Ireland's included.
Prithian.
Yeah, Prithian. Yeah, but the UK, the real country out there, it's like basically the same. And Highburn is just Ireland, and I'm sure she was dumb and young when she did this and didn't think through, the cultural implications of choosing that. Yeah.
Thinking about, colonialism and hundreds of years of oppression. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
I think it's like general, like just dumb Anglophileness. Like she didn't mean to do it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are interpreting it as you think the Irish are cruel monsters. And I'm like, oh, wow, we're doing this again.
We are going to do it.
I will say, going off we know literally nothing about Highburn. The king doesn't have a name, and they do mention once somewhere in this book why Highburn is going to war with them, and it's like some comically evil, like it's how we used to be bullshit, but also like their trade is like not doing as well or something stupid, and life is not as easy for their people, and I'm like, I don't know, adapt, like
exactly. Okay, 500 years have passed.
Yeah,
right, 500 years. No one has taken account for the fact that 500 years has passed. They're just like, oh yeah, they never just got over the fact that they don't have slaves anymore. It's just like, like,
yeah,
generally speaking, you evolve.
No. Not in Ireland, I guess.
Yeah, eventually the peat bogs are going to run out of peat. You got to switch your economy to making whiskey.
Right. I guess they haven't yet. They're still plagued by that potato famine. Oh. Sorry, I'm not trying to make...
You brought up famine.
Yeah,
I did, I'm sorry.
You did it. You did it now.
Really, I feel like they should have overthrown this king French Revolution style.
And started producing whiskey.
Yeah, here we are with this book. So the incestuous twins kill the children of the blessed, I think that's what they're called. Yeah. And so Feyre and Lucien are like, we didn't like that. So they sent the bogey after the twins as revenge. And when they get back to the spring courthouse, Tamlin is pissed that they weren't all getting along and singing Kumbaya around the fire. So Feyre purposely pushes his buttons until he loses control of all of his powers and throws her against a bookshelf. She partially heals herself using her powers, but everyone is still very concerned for her.
I loved that she was this dramatic.
Yeah.
And I imagine, because at this point everybody in the palace loves her so much.
That's true.
I imagine when she was flying through the air, it looked like when Handsome Squidward was falling, it was just slow motion with her arms flailing and everybody was gasping.
Her makeup is still perfectly done when she stands up.
Yeah, she looks beautiful when it happens.
Face beat.
Yeah, she just has that perfect one little tear coming down, but it doesn't ruin her makeup
Lauren
at all.
Conrad style, yeah. So Tamlin is apparently very sorry for this, and Ianthe, for some reason, inserts herself and begs Feyre for Tamlin's forgiveness. She's like, girl, I've known him forever, and he would never do that on purpose. He's such a good guy. Okay. Then, boom, 7 Naga attack out of nowhere later that night. Coincidence? I think not. It's because Ianthe saw the attack in a vision and was able to warn everyone. So actually, no one dies. Boo. But the guard who fell asleep that night is about to be whipped by Tamlin. And Feyre uses her magic to make him confess that actually Ianthe stole the estate keys and set the whole thing up. So she and Ianthe have a little power play over whether they should listen to the guard or just beat him, because she's just cruel. And although during this little convo, Ianthe basically gives away that she did steal the keys to let the Naga in, Tamlin sides with the High Priestess and punishes the guard.
And again, what Feyre is trying to do here with all this is turn everybody else in the Spring Court against Tamlin. So at this point, they all love Feyre, and like guards are involved in this and stuff, and they're watching Tamlin not side with their beloved Feyre, but rather this bitch priest.
Yeah, who they already don't like because she, didn't suffer
Is a serial
with them.
rapist.
Well, yeah,
that too, but also because she didn't suffer with them during the Amarantha reign.
Yeah, she went off to I don't know what other Europe.
Yeah, Europe.
The continental Europe.
Like the Baltic
Yeah, she
states.
went on her grand tour.
She went on a great tour. She came back speaking French. So the next time they go to scope out the third hole, Tamlin and Ianthe join. I know every time
Let's all check out that third hole.
Everyone's got to try it once. So, the next sentence. I will say I did write it. I did write it purposely this way, but I didn't realize how giggly it would make me. The twins are discussing which hole they should enter. So Feyre suggests the one that they're already at.
Yeah, I just would.
You're already down here.
Yeah. ready to go.
Floofed it up. They reveal, for some reason, that they have an army of 200,000 and they will use the cauldron to take down the wall. So they are unstoppable. After all of this, Feyre is ready to return home to the Night Court, not to the Spring Court. And she's just about to winnow away when she hears Ianthe molesting Lucien. And she's like, oof, do I save this guy who was like my friend back then? And she decides yes. So she uses the Bene Gesserit voice from Dune to command Ianthe to smash her hand with a rock and then goes in her head to rewire her brain so she'll never violate people again. And the culmination of this whole first part, especially this chapter, just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. We already talked about her femme fatale was quite personality change for her, but this reaction was, number one, quite gruesome and just a lot for me. First, the almost molestation was a little weird, and then the very gruesome hand smashing to the forceful brainwashing. Fuck Ianthe, but it was just a lot for me, and as I said, seemed a little out of character for Feyre. Some punishment is necessary, definitely, but I don't know, maybe I'm just too much of a pacifist.
I read a lot of horror, and this scene, I didn't find it necessarily shocking in the way that it was written. Mm-hmm. I did find it surprising that it was in this book.
Yeah.
That our main character that we're supposed to in the fairly straightforward way would go this far.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so this is where I could deliver a lecture on SJM brand internal misogyny, but I won't. I will make this short. Feyre is a good character, acting bad to be ultimately good, since Ianthe is the ultimate bad-coded woman acting good to be bad. So plus everything is super heightened in this book. The stakes are super high and stuff is starting to get gory. So all of that is sort of expected on my end. But I feel too Feyre's attempt to sabotage the Spring Court really doesn't amount to much on page in this first part. So she has to leave with a bang, which is this. Mm-hmm. So which is violence against the woman she hates, who is also the one behind pushing Tamlin to betray his entire people and land for a woman who expressly stated she doesn't want to be with him anymore.
Yeah.
So too long didn't read. It's fucked up.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I really don't think she was actually working to accomplish a whole lot here. Tamlin was already fucking up to begin with.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she just kind of gave everyone a push in the right in quotes direction to distrust Tamlin and all that, but the just sudden violence, I guess, was a little jarring to me, because I feel in the last book with the ACOTAR, I don't know, ACOTAR attack, it was not very gory. This is kind of you've watched a movie and every time someone gets shot you just hear the gun go off, and then we watched a headshot happen on screen.
Well, the ACOTAR
sure.
The adder's also humanoid, but
Yes,
not
yeah.
really human looking, whereas the anthe is just looks like a person.
Yeah. And please don't misunderstand me that I'm like defending Yanthe here. Like she can get fucked, okay?
Yeah.
She sucks. But I don't know. It
Yeah.
felt out of character for Feyre here.
Yeah, like I said, the level of violence would be nothing in one of the horror novels I read.
Yeah.
But I did not expect this character specifically to go that far.
Yeah. So Yanthe has no hands, and she's basically been like magically lobotomized by Feyre.
Does she have no hands, or does she?
No,
are they
well,
just
they're
like
they're
mangled?
really fucked
It's
up.
very mangled, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
She has hands. She's not like walking around with nubs. And Feyre is on her way to leaving, but Branna and Dagden, the incestuous twins, have witnessed Feyre punishing Yanthe. So now they also have to die, leave no witnesses. They reveal that they've actually been slowly poisoning Feyre with Feybane, which has been dulling her powers. Lucien cuts one of the twins' heads off in this fight, and Feyre stabs the other twin in the eye, and he dies right in front of Lucien. Lucien then leaves with Feyre since her magic is gone, and his runs out too, so they continue on foot throughout a cave that will take them to the Autumn Court.
I was trying to remember what his reasoning was here. It's like, well, I'm going to be in trouble, and Tamlin is unstable, and his kingdom's about to fall, so I might as well just skedaddle with Feyre so that way I can see Elaine.
Yeah, I think that was it.
I honestly don't remember because we all know I don't care about Lucien. I think I completely blanked out here.
Yeah. We are now at part 2, which is called Cursebreaker. And I say this in the Crown of Midnight recap, but I actually think parts work for this novel. Like, I normally hate them, which is my problem, because I feel like if you're just going to use parts, like, just write 2 separate books. But I feel like they're done for a stylistic choice most of the time. But here they feel like a little purposeful. Like, we're definitely moving on into, like, a different episode. But this book in general is too long. So I don't think you could cut each part into different books, but at least 2 separate books somewhere would have worked for me. They're just so long.
This book would have had to been reworked into 2 to get everything that she wanted in here.
For sure. You can't just cut it in half.
Yeah, right. So I think like parts, I have no problem with parts generally speaking. Like they break up the flow of a novel and they signal to a reader that there's a big story shift. So prepare for that, like either emotionally or we're going to like pick up and move to a different area. So I have no problem with parts generally, but God, this book, so long.
It's really long. And I have a whole rampage about it. I don't know when. But so we're in part 2. The chapter that starts it is basically just a montage of Feyre and Lucien like trudging through the Autumn Court forest, and they barely talk to each other.
It's a road trip.
And when they do get to, I don't know, out of the tunnels, they get ambushed by Lucien's brothers. So Feyre gets some of her powers back, and she uses it to fight with Lucien to escape his brothers. They run away and have to cuddle in a cave for warmth because they're like in the winter court now. Don't even start to think that anything sexy happens between them because they just talk about their mates the whole time, and Feyre calls him out for being a bad friend.
This is kind of where I started to wonder to myself, was he ever technically a friend in the first place? Because like just saying someone's a friend does not actually make them that.
Yeah.
Well, he was also really mean to her.
Yeah, he
He
was.
was so mean to her in the first book.
Yeah.
Even when she's saving his ass at the end of the first book, he's basically calling her a weak idiot for even showing up. And then it moves into the second book, and he's like, just stay with him. Everything's going to be fine. Just keep being abused because it's better for me if you keep being abused, and I don't have to do anything about it. And then she runs away, and then he tries to take her back to Tamlin, her abuser. And now here we are in this. I'm like, was he ever a friend? Or was he just there?
Yeah. I mean, I think he's, I sorry, I was like listening, but I was also thinking in the Beauty and the Beast that was going on in the first book, like he's technically Cogsworth, right?
Yeah. So if anything, he's
Who's
sort
like-
of just like a helper
Yeah.
who's kind of mean occasionally.
Yeah, because Cogsworth was like weirdly anti-Belle, even though they needed her for to end the curse, which I feel like is why Lucien was that way at the beginning. But
Cogsworth was the one who's like, we need to send her away.
yeah,
Yeah.
Just imagine that, like, you have a friends group and there's this one guy who's just always a dick to you for no reason. Like, he's never been nice.
yeah,
And then he decides that he's really into your sister. And so then he starts being nice to you.
Yeah.
What would that feel like?
I'd be like,
Right?
fuck you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Does Sarah J. Maas have brothers or sisters?
I have no
I have
idea.
no idea.
I it just occurred to me. I don't know, and I feel like that would color things for me differently. So yeah, they cuddled in their little cave nothing happens, unfortunately. Anyways, they reach the Winter Court, a literal tundra, and they have to cross an iced over lake. At the edge of it, the Autumn Brothers are burning through the ice to try to drown them. So shit's about to get real. The fight isn't going well for our girl, and she's like about to die when, boom, Cassian and Azriel show up to save her. She commands the Bat Boys to spare the brothers, and they want to disobey her, but she shows off her other tat and announces that she is High Lady. And they were like, oh, sorry, miss. And then they all fly off to meet more, and they go to the townhome in Valaris. And they all live happily ever after.
Yeah, what if it ended there?
So they're back at this house. Rhys is there, and Feyre and Rhys have a very high school relationship reunion. This is quoted from the book. Rhys was instantly moving, but my legs had already given out. The foyer carpet cushioned the impact as I sank to my knees. I covered my face with my hands while the past month crashed into me. I'm sorry. You've been away for 1 month. Some crying, fine. But like to literally fall to your knees, like at the sight of Rhys, the drama.
But also, I do want to point out that the way that Rhysand enters this scene is that Feyre is like reminiscing and like catching up with the other Court of Dreams people.
Yeah.
And then she says something, and then she hears his voice behind her and turns, and he's leaning with his arms crossed against a door frame. So imagine this. He is so eager to see Feyre, but he walked to the room silently, like crept up behind her and like positioned himself against the door and was like, I'm going to look so cool when she turns around.
The coolest. You know it's all for the fan art.
Yeah.
Like.
Oh my God. It just, the whole thing reads so high school to me. I'm like, this is pathetic. You know those people who are like, oh, we're not going to see each other until next period. And then they literally make out in the hallway, like right in front of their teacher.
Yeah.
Barf. So they reunited and they kick everyone else out of the house so they can fuck. Which, I mean, privacy, sure. So Lucian's there at the house, and Feyre tells Lucian everything, and he decides that he's going to play nice with everyone because remember, he like thought that they were the most evil people in the
Also,
world.
Wait, does he have a choice? Does he,
Yeah, I
mean,
don't
is
know.
he
Right?
just
Like,
gonna-
what is he going to fight him?
It's very true.
Is he going to be like, hell no, I'm not going to be your guest?
Yeah, so now he's like subservient to Feyre the same way he is.
Basically.
Man, this guy just keeps getting in the wrong crowds over and over again.
He's just such a natural beta.
He is, which is why, even though I always say I don't really get polyamory, every time that him and Feyre were like cuddling, I was like, ooh, maybe there'll be like a weird love triangle or something going on. No, never. So Feyre then greets her sisters, and of course Nesta is still a bitch. She throws a bit of a fit that Elaine has locked herself in the room to cry for a whole month, and like Nesta blames it on Feyre because apparently everything's Feyre's fault. Elaine is in this deep depression because her human life is over, and she's basically like a shell of herself.
I don't know. This is where Feyre is like, gotta see if Elaine will accept Lucian as her mate, like right now.
Yeah, she does.
I was like, are you serious? Are you seriously doing this? And it's like, maybe table that for a different time,
No,
Feyre. Like,
we have to check right
why
now.
do you even care about Lucian's feelings right now? You've been like, you're not a very good friend to me. I just spent literally a month conning you and driving everybody insane. And here she is like, Elaine, will you accept Lucian as your mate, even though you are basically in a coma? Like, and Nesta's the only one who's like, what the fuck are you even doing? Stop it. And I'm really kind of angry now because she's making me agree with Nesta.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still don't think that Nesta was right. Like I agree with that perspective that now is not the time, Feyre.
Yeah.
But I don't think Nesta's doing it for that reason. I think Nesta just looks for any opportunity she can to be the worst person in the room.
Yeah,
Oh,
she does.
that too. Yeah.
She's just a bitch. Like she's I don't know. Yeah, I think Nesta is right to be angry at the situation. I mean, no one wants immortality forced upon them, especially in some weird like human fae war. But
I'd do
like, I don't know if I would, but I used to tell my mom that a tangent within a tangent. But I used to tell my mom that I wanted to die when I was 55, when I was like 10, you know, young people not understanding how oldness works. And she was like 54 when I told her. I was like, I just don't think I could be old. Anyways, I think Nesta's right to be angry at the situation. I think she's using Feyre as a scapegoat as always. But yeah, Feyre, like, get fucked. Lucien doesn't need, like, to be coddled right now. So anyways, the inner circle is back together, and they're at Amren's apartment, who has the Book of Breathings, which is what they were dealing with last book. They discuss war plans. And it's like that one chapter. Yeah, that's basically what happens. But when they discuss it, it's like that one chapter from ACOMAF that's like exposition / world building dressed up as dialogue, so people don't get bored. Not to call out my sister, but she doesn't like read world building. She basically just focuses on dialogue. So this was written just for her.
God, if only I could do that.
That's interesting, because I know a lot of people say that. I wonder if like they gave her, like the editor gave her that information.
Like,
like people are gonna read dialogue more than they're gonna read the exposition part.
It's way easier for people to read broken up text like that than to read a whole long paragraph of exposition.
Yeah,
and if you can break it up as much as you can, the faster it will flow.
That's true. And the only time she really does that is that one kind of like 4 notes that I made at the beginning. Like that whole chapter is basically Pharaoh's like inner thoughts, because this whole book is from her point of view. And she's basically just like telling everyone, hey, like here's some notes you need to know about. But she can't talk to anyone, so that she has to think it all. So we have to read it that way. But yeah, good old Sarah just loves reading dialogue. But here's what you need to know from this dialogue. We learn that Hybern, aka Ireland, is planning on teaming up with the other territories from the continent. The Hybern people still want to go to war, and now they are determined to win this time so that they can enslave the humans again. We also find out that Jurian is only with Hybern to get Miriam back from Dracon. We kind of already knew that, but the inner circle knows that now. And the inner circle was hoping that they could get Miriam and Dracon on their side for Fey War 2. But the island community that Miriam and Draco have like gone to, it's deserted. So Azrael couldn't find them. So basically, like, you could have read that whole chapter, or you can just read this one quote that kind of sums up everything. Someone says, so we need to find a way to patch up the wall before Hybern uses the cauldron to break it, and fight this war before any other territories join Hybern's assault, and eventually get the cauldron itself. Anything else?
Which is in dialogue, so those dialogue readers out there.
Yeah.
They'll know what's going on.
Yep. Mm-hmm. They're like, just in case you also didn't read that dialogue that I purposely put there for you, here's this wrap up at the end of the chapter. Lucien and the inner circle have dinner.
Is it stew?
I should have.
It was probably chicken.
It was
probably
actually,
chicken.
It was probably chicken.
I mean, having read some like Silver Flames, it's all chicken
Which
all
is-
the time.
I think they just have stew when they're in the Illyrian area, and then in Valaris they have chicken.
God, it's such white people food.
I don't know if this is at the dinner or elsewhere, but Amren tells Nesta that they are similar, and it's probably due to Nesta's yet-to-be-revealed powers. Rhys tells everyone that he is inviting the other High Lords to a meeting. Rhys also reveals that he wants to ask the Court of Nightmares army, called the Darkbringer Legion, to join the war. Basically, everyone thinks that this is a bad idea. Feyre asks Azrael to teach her how to learn to fly, and he's like, sure. Amren... This is just like a lot of bullet points of information.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really is a bullet point chapter, though.
Yeah.
That's how I do all my notes.
Yeah.
Amren offers to train Nesta and suggests that they go to the Court of Nightmares too, so she can practice her magic. She has like the same like magic sensing that Feyre does. Nesta says that she'll help them if they make sure that the king and all of the other human queens are dead by the end of the war. She says she'll train and help them with the wall, but she tells Feyre and the crew to fuck right off when she's asked to tell her story at the High Lord meeting. They're like, please tell everyone about your trauma. And she's like, I ain't doing that.
Again, I'm like, why are you making me agree with Nesta?
I know.
Of course she shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah, but they think it'll sway people, which, sure, but can't, like, whatever. Anyways, I was going to say, can't Rhys, like, put his, like, memories into everyone else's brain? Like,
Listen, we all read that meeting.
Yeah, I know.
If she had given them her trauma, they would have been like, fuck right off. I don't want to hear anymore.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, she was right to be against it. Nesta appears at training practice, and Cassian and her banter. Azrael and Feyre leave to train. She uses her powers to grow wings, and he has to touch them to make sure that they're correct. And they're in erogenous zone, so maybe this is like a doctor breast exam. Like,
He's not looking at her when it happens.
Maybe, like, I was a little confused by the whole Feyre learns to fly thing.
yeah,
Because her wings aren't real wings, you know, like Illyrians have real wings. Her wings are wings that she uses her magic to magic there into place. And I was just like, I don't know. I don't know enough about this magic system. Does that mean like they're suddenly there and they're fully functional wings, or does that mean that they are the appearance of wings?
I
can answer
Okay.
that question, and it is that they are real Illyrian wings. She becomes a real Illyrian.
Yeah, she has like
Okay, but-
shape-shifting abilities from Tamlin.
Yeah.
So she like actually grows them and ungrows them every time.
This is only explained in Silver Flames.
Yeah.
So you have to get the Silver Flames to understand the ramifications of this. That she is in a real Illyrian form.
Yeah.
I don't understand it either. It's not really explained. The magic is not explained, but
The magic is never explained.
No.
But it does kind of read like it could be the like shadow wings that Reese uses sometimes. The only reason why I think they're actually real is because
There are consequences.
Azrael has to like touch them. Oh, well, I haven't gotten there
You haven't
yet.
gotten there
yeah,
yet,
hold
but-
on.
One of my favorite things in the Simon Snow series of books is that in the first book, his magic is always been like really shitty. It's like way overpowered, but he has very little control over it. And in that first book, he thinks like, I need to get from point A to point B really, really fast. How would I do that? Okay, I need to have wings. And his brain automatically is like a dragon. And so he gives himself like dragon wings and a tail and flies to where he needs to. But then not to like spoilers, I guess, for this book that's been out for years, but he like permanently loses his powers and never gets them back.
Oh.
But he's like stuck with these wings and tail that like never go away, and like the rest of the community spends all this time and effort trying to figure out how to get rid of them, but they don't understand the magic that he did to get them in the first place. So he just has to like figure out how to strap them down to his body and how to like curl up his tail and like live with it. I just thought it was interesting how he was always like permanently marked like that by some weird impulsive thought he had.
Reese and Feyre visit the library. It is run by priestesses and surrounds a pit that houses something so scary that Cassian won't even talk about it. Reese tells Feyre that he'll sacrifice himself if it means winning the war. Smells like foreshadowing. She suggests that they ask the Bone Carver if he'd help them win the war, because again, it's supposed to be very, very scary. Amarin trains Nesta. They weirdly seem to get along. And by weirdly, I mean they're both kind of bitches, so I guess it makes sense that they get along. Feyre and Cassian visit the Bone Carver. She confirms for us that who she sees is her and Reese's son. The Bone Carver says some cryptic shit about Nesta. They say that they could possibly send him home if he chooses to help. And he agrees, but only if they can get him a special mirror called the Ouroboros from the Court of Nightmares. Oh, also, he has 2 siblings, and he's like the god of death. Just, a little aside. And then Cassian and Feyre discuss that Nesta might be death itself.
I found this section to be a bummer. Okay, so let me try to explain this. Sometimes in stories, there is a minor character who is really cool, in part because they are kind of a mystery. So when the world or the story is expanded with subsequent books or movies or TV shows or whatever, the creator gives way more information about this one minor mysterious character, and it ends up killing the part that made them cool. Like you could say this is what J.K. Rowling did with like a lot of her characters, when she was doing the like they poop on the floor thing on TikTok. Not TikTok. Twitter.
Yeah.
So
and her Pottermore site, too. Yeah.
So I feel this way about the Bone Carver. It was the only character that I liked in the last book. Like, I liked how he was just a creepy little kid down there doing his own thing. And now we've, I don't know, sort of defanged him.
Yeah.
It just seems silly.
No, you absolutely are correct, because it like he wants to stay in prison too because he's afraid of his siblings.
Right.
Yeah.
And it seems like a whole setup for a side plot that never happens, but like how scary is the Bone Carver if he is literally scared of his 2 siblings? And
right.
like well, why do I take him seriously now? He wants to stay here.
Yeah.
Okay.
He just wants a mirror to the outside.
Right.
You
He
know?
just wants a little mirror and be
Like,
happy.
like a different
Yeah.
monster who we'll meet later. He just wants, what does he want, like a window? Or
Yeah,
a friend?
he wants a window. He just
Yeah.
wants a window. And he wants to stay where he is.
Yeah,
Just
he's
leave
like,
him
I can't go
alone.
outside. I'm scared.
Yes, I know. And how convenient is it that both really terrifying
Yeah.
monsters just want to stay where they
Yeah,
are?
They felt like a little, a monster from like a children's book, you know? Like, oh, the outside is scary. Like, it's like a metaphor for the whole world being scary. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. It just, yeah, you're right. It totally defanged him. Like, he's, I don't know, weird, but not in like a cool way now, you know?
Yeah.
So Feyre visits Elaine and Nesta, and Elaine speaks like a child in a horror movie, just in riddles always, and they don't make any sense, and no one does anything to try to understand them. A quote that she says is, "Will I hear the earthworms writhing through the soil? Will the bird of fire come to sit in the trees and watch me?" Just like dumb fucking like... Well, anyways, we then get a short Lucian POV as Feyre like barges into his mind, and he stumbles upon Elaine in the library and tries to chat with her.
Nah, he sort of intentionally goes in.
Yeah, I also agree. He says that they need to get out of this house, so the sisters then move into the townhome because it's, you know, kind of like taking Elaine out to the sea. She needs, you know, that salty
That-
air.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah. Nesta says that she made the cauldron give her something back when she was turned, and that's, you know, a big oh no, things are gonna happen. And Feyre says that she thinks that Nesta's power is death.
Like, what the fuck does that even mean? Like, what does that mean? What is she gonna do with that?
Who knows?
It will be explained more later. I say ominously.
No, bullshit. This book is 700 pages long. You got to tell me right now, Sarah.
No.
Nope, sorry.
No. I agree with you, though. Feyre asks Rhys why Azriel and Elaine can't be mates instead of her and Lucian. Because, you know, she's for some reason on Lucian's side right now.
I still can't figure it out. Like, if there's one thing I'd cut from this book, it's the weird Elaine, Lucian, non-existent tension and mate thing. I still find it deeply creepy that Elaine is expected to make this decision in her state of mind concerning the mating frenzy.
Yeah, that's true.
So you want
I
this
didn't even think
lady
about
who
that.
can't speak in rational sentences to just bone down with Lucian right now? That's what you want her to do. Like, what?
Yeah, and and Sarah like wrote in that consent is important in the last
Apparently
book.
not.
But we don't care about like informed consent or conscious consent.
I was going to say consent of the mentally disabled.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I do think that the reason they should dump the Elaine Lucian thing is because Endgame should be Lucian Tamlin.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be
Lucian
sick.
should be with Tamlin.
Mm-hmm. I also think they should dump the Elaine Lucian because Lucian fucking leaves for like
Yeah.
3/4 of this book.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on. So the group, they finally make it to the Court of Nightmares, and they speak with Kier, who's like the faux leader of the Court of Nightmares, and also Moore's dad, uncle, I can't remember. And he seems to want to side with Hybern, which like, duh. And then Rhys invites Eris into the room for some reason.
His bones seem to have healed up nicely since the last book.
Mm-hmm.
If you recall, Rhys broke a bunch of Kier's bones and then told him he wasn't allowed to have them set.
Oh yeah, he had like a jiggly arm, like
Yeah.
from Harry Potter. Yeah. I totally forgot about that.
Do we know who Eris is? Have we said his name
Oh
before?
yeah, he's one of the brothers from the Autumn Court. He's Lucian's brother.
He was the one who's supposed to marry Moore.
Oh yeah.
And to get out of it, she had sex with Cassian.
Yeah.
And
And then she got like
developed her whole
beat
downfall.
up and
Yeah.
dumped. And Kier agrees to fight if his people are allowed access to Valaris, and Rhys very easily agrees. And then Feyre's like, "Hey, there's this weird mirror. Can I get it?" And that kind of it doesn't go anywhere. Eris explains that in exchange for his help, Rhys will support his bid for his father's throne because he's gonna kill his dad.
Maas is hardcore trying to redeem Eris in this book because I believe he becomes a bigger character in, if not the later books, then like the Crescent City books.
I do think he's in the Crescent City.
I've heard
not read them.
people on social media talk about him as though he's an actual character.
Oh, yeah.
Later on.
Yeah. Later on, he seems more important. Yeah. So Rhys has agreed that the Court of Nightmare people are going to get access to Velaris, and Moore yells at Rhys a bit. And he goes on a bit of a tirade that he would sacrifice himself again and again if Amarantha offered him the chance, if that meant that he was going to win the war.
You know, I just now, I'm thinking about how shitty that is, because she's basically like, I can't believe you're going to let these people who abuse me so badly do whatever they want. And he was like, well, I was also abused, but I'm not being a huge bitch about it.
That's exactly what is happening. Yes. Yes. Yes.
That's a good point. I'm not laughing at the fact that that was what happened. That's just like, yeah, truly that is it.
Yeah, he's basically saying like, yeah, I'm going to let them abuse you again.
Sorry, you can take it.
I would let myself be abused for the good of others.
I already did. Oh, yeah. Yeah, something about Rhys in this book gets a little slimy for me. This is kind of the start, I think.
I think that's just the nature of having a romance book, that such a large portion of it is when the two characters are actually together.
Yeah.
You've lost a lot of that tension of their romance, and so it's like, okay, now I have to expand on their actual day-to-day relationship, and it's really easy. Imagine this. It's really easy for a straight man to be gross.
Yeah. Shocking.
That's true. Amren explains that she escaped the prison by binding her soul to a Fey body. She had to become mortal in some sense. So this like bodes well for the bone carver people, I guess. Elaine comes in and mutters some nonsense. She's officially crazy. Like Feyre is like, oh, we'll get a healer to look at Elaine because, you know, she's too fucked up.
Plus she has to bone down.
Yeah, right. She's got to be coherent for that dick.
Yeah, otherwise they're going to diagnose her as being insane and frigid and send her away.
Feyre trains and talks with Maura. That's all that happens in this chapter. Then she trains some more with Azriel in the next chapter. He tells her about Miriam and Draken. Draken's people have wings like birds instead of like bats. And there's like this whole story that he tells her about, like, don't give up on trying to fly. It was cute. Rhys gives Feyre a sexy massage and then he fingers her.
Very cute.
Also cute, I guess.
I'm loving how we're just flying through these chapters.
Okay. I will say, I went through and like heavily edited this, but there's so much shit that happens, but it actually doesn't matter at all. And even some of this doesn't really matter either.
Yeah,
but
I think we're doing good for splitting it into two parts.
Yeah.
I
Okay. Feyre and Nesta go to the library to do some research. Okay. Two Hybern Fays ambush them in the library, and they are there to bring Nesta back to the cauldron. There's a quote, "That was why the cauldron couldn't shatter the wall. Not because its power was spent, but because Nesta had stolen too much of it." Which, like, right on, Nesta. Like, fuck up the people who fucked you up. They, Nesta and Feyre run to the bottom of the library to get away from the Hybern soldiers. As they run, the two Hybern Fae tell them things that have happened, and they realize that Elaine's cryptic muttering is actually her telling the future. The two twin ravens are the two Hybern royals that are currently there. A young hand withered is one of the young queens who went into the cauldron to turn it immortal, came out as a withered old crone. Feyre, they're now at the bottom of the library, and she makes a deal with this monster to bring him company if it kills the two Hybern Fae. The Fae are like so gruesomely murdered that Feyre has to keep her eyes closed while she's being rescued by Cassian and Rhys.
At this point, I was enjoying the story.
Yeah,
like monsters in a library. Yes.
Yeah, this was a good bit of action. The four of them have a little chat over brandy because, you know, their nerves are stressed. I don't know.
Yeah. Also can't get whiskey since the war started.
But is there not Scottish whiskey? I don't actually know.
I have no idea.
Okay. Damn. Okay.
Isn't it like it's an EY or a Y, right? Like,
one of those is like the American version too.
Oh no, it's Scotch. God. What am I thinking? Scotch.
We need a straight man just for this moment.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Where's the white man to tell us about whiskey?
Yeah.
How many malts are in this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, no joke. There are White Claws on this table.
Yeah, there are. And I'm drinking mine out of a Starbucks cup. Basic. So yeah, they're having a chat over brandy, and we get a short Cassian POV of him saving Nesta, then Feyre. I don't actually remember how this happens. But I feel like this is important for my rant that comes on later as to why this book is so unbelievably long. Anyways, Azriel reveals that Elaine is a seer. She reveals that a queen made of fire and feathers will come to their aid in the war. They figure out that one of the human queens has been cursed and sold to a sorcerer. That's this Fire and Feathers queen. Lucian then randomly volunteers to find her and convince her and her army to fight with them.
He's like, well, I won't put out.
Yeah.
So.
Maybe this bird lady will.
No joke. I think that's actually something that's happening on the side. But no, I have no evidence for this.
Damn. Someone write that fanfic. I'd read it.
Aside from a little things that happen, but like, yeah, no actual evidence.
Yeah. So Lucian then leaves for the continent. He's also going on a grand tour. Hybern attacks the Summer Court. Rhys, Cassian, Azriel, and the Illyrians go to the Summer Court to fight with them. Moore and Feyre go too to protect the lower Fae because someone has to care for those peasants.
If you recall, the Summer Court is the one that is a beach fantasy place.
Yes, with the dildo turret.
Yeah, very Mediterranean.
What did you say?
I said the dildo turret.
Oh, shit.
Is that a Little Mermaid reference?
A Little Mermaid reference.
Okay, phew. That's what I thought too, but I was like, that came out of nowhere. Is there something I missed in the last book? Yeah. Also, they have like blood diamonds, blood rubies out for them. Like they're.
I just imagine these people having like arts and crafts time and sticking seashells to all their walls. That's how I think of it.
They have so many hot glue guns.
Yeah.
So anyways, they're all there and they slaughter all of the enemy Fae in the palace, and then Feyre opens the bond to Rhys's mind so we can get his POV. There has been some sort of dampener on his and the Illyrians' powers, which is making this like go longer. He finally lands on a ship when Hybern appears in front of him. Hybern gives a little evil villain monologue. Then Rhys tries to attack him and the king vanishes into nothing because he wasn't really there.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't Rhys like vanish an entire boat with his magic after this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I
and
think
they
you're
just
right.
become a red mist.
Yeah, I think he kills a bunch of sailors.
Yeah.
He's a good guy though, guys.
Yeah, you know. He was
They were just Irish.
Yeah.
Someone is gonna hear this who's actually Irish.
We love the Irish.
I'm part Irish.
Same. I am partially Irish. It's fine.
Yeah, we are Americans who live in the Midwest and white, so we are all
part
of Irish extraction.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So those people have been ghosted. The battle is over. Feyre talks to Tarquin, who's the High Lord of the Summer Court, and he's like, I know you helped us, but since you fucked up Spring Court, that's why they're attacking. They came because of you. It's your fault. Which is like such an immature take. Like, I mean, I know it just seems like Tarquin is still butthurt that they stole that book from him.
Yeah, I really hated this comment. I feel like everyone is believing that Tamlin was going to pull some sort of double cross against Hybern, but like, what's the proof of that?
None.
Like, it seemed like he allied with Hybern and then was just going to let them walk through. Mm-hmm. Like, we don't have any evidence right now that points to anything other than that.
Yeah, but bros before hoes.
Yeah, true.
No, it's a dumb take because Rhys and Feyre aren't responsible for Tamlin's shitty decisions, and also smacks of victim blaming.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, if Feyre had just stayed with her abuser, none of this would have happened.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, yeah.
It's a weird take. In the aftermath of the battle, Feyre and Rhys talk about their game plan for the High Lord meeting. They decide on no more hiding. And then she blows and fucks him in their tent.
Mm-hmm.
While the wounded and dying moan around them.
Mm-hmm.
So sexy.
Yeah. They talk to the bone carver. It's basically worthless.
Mm-hmm.
Elaine bakes bread and that happens.
I know.
And then Nesta asks where Cassian is. The crew is all dressed up to go to the High Lord meeting, and surprise, Nesta is coming too. Nesta says she's going to the meeting to speak on behalf of the humans, so Rhys offers her a job as the emissary. And she says, maybe. And there was like a beautiful moment of tension between Cassian and Nesta. And like, I don't really give a shit about this meeting now. I just want to watch them pine for each other for the next 320 pages.
Yeah, same.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, the gang arrives at Dawn Court for the meeting.
Which we will get into next time.
Yep. And
This is approximately the halfway point, so we're going to stop, take a little break, and then regroup.
Yeah, but for you listeners out there, you have to wait like until we post the next one. So
Yeah.
sorry.
So,
Yeah. You'll be fine. Just
Everything
think
will
Read
work
the
out.
book if you haven't yet.
Just think about what kind of shenanigans they might get up to at the High Lord meeting.
Yeah,
I'm
what-
sure they're all going to get along great.
What could possibly happen?
Sure, they're going to be really mature.
I'm sure.
All right. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.